Are you aware of how you feel? Is it even important to know? I grew up believing that some emotions weren't worth recognizing because they should never stop me from acting. This can be useful in life or death situations and not so useful in daily interactions with normal people. You can be caught in a fight or flight scenario or caught up in emotions that are not serving you. And the reason this is so important kind of stems for me from an article written by Daniel Goleman. He wrote an article in 1998 in the Harvard Business Review called "What Makes a Leader?" And this formalized the importance of emotional intelligence in leaders throughout North America. This became the hallmark discovery of what we now consider one of the most important attributes of leaders in our business culture, and I would say in every space. Because the capacity to understand what you think and feel is paramount to your ability to lead others. This is something we have a tendency in our culture to ignore because over the years we have evolved as humans from a space of tribal communities that are warring with each other to kingdoms, to monarchies, to empires like England, covering the world with its great empire and conquering different places. All of this was brought on by war and putting down the other, the person that was different than us, and forcing them to take on our culture so that we would feel safe and good. It's a very powerful thing to have to break out of. And we have recently, even now, we're in war. People are consistently in this space, and it impacts the way they see the world because they're in a space of deep need for survive, which is war. When you return to a natural, normal civilization, like here in North America, that mentality is not benefiting us. And the emotions that we may feel in battle, the horror, the fear, the pain, the agony, all of that is not safe to feel when you're in a space of battle. You must act regardless of what you feel to survive. So you suppress all of that and you keep moving forward. But when you get to the place where you're safe, where you feel like it's okay to let things down, you no longer do because you have been taught and you feel like you can't go back to that. Why would you want to experience that again? And you shut it down and you lock down those emotions so you can continue to function. 1 in 4 people don't feel safe to express their emotions in any environment. Only 36%, well, let's say it this way. The way they truly measure it, they say if you go into any given room of 10 people, 1 or 2 of them, well, let's not say no clue, 8 or 9 people in that room don't fully understand their emotions and what's going on. So why is this a problem? Why do we need to understand our emotions? Why do we need to step out of that and feel? The real reason for this is, beyond the capacity to be a good leader, adaptability. Your capacity to innovate and perform under pressure increases substantially when you begin to understand the nuances of the emotions that you carry within your body. Unfortunately, because we have been trained through our culture to suppress uncomfortable emotions because they don't serve us in moments of crisis, we fail to recognize the expanse and breadth and wisdom that are lying within the emotions that we feel. We shut them down and we only allow the most extreme things of great joy and laughter or great grief and sadness to penetrate the gray that we live in, which is, I'm okay, I'm going to do this, I'm good. And you keep going along like that no matter what to keep functioning. It is not a place of adaptability. It actually puts you into a space of continual fight or flight when you are not addressing the pain that you carry and all the emotions that are there. You are limited in your capacity to innovate when things get difficult, whether that be at work, whether that be in a relationship, whether that be an academic paper that you are writing. Whatever it may be, the art that you're working on, your adaptability and capacity to innovate and create, when you learn to feel and tap into your emotions, is increased exponentially. That's why we want to be able to understand our emotional space and really dive into it. So when you understand that, when you know that years of research have delivered this, we should want to be pursuing these emotional nuances that we have access to if we will let go of our desire to block ourselves from feeling that. And the other thing that happens when you begin to have the emotional capacity to truly understand what's going on within yourself, it increases your capacity to see what's going on in others. This will make you powerful as a team leader. It will allow you to consistently find new breakthroughs because you're going to be able to rely on people to bring their best forward or soothe them if you need them to calm and focus. It is a powerful thing that comes from understanding your emotions. And in this day and age, the advent of technological advancements that we see consistently, people are saying that we'll experience 100 years of change in the next 10 years. This is an unparalleled pace of change in the history of man, humankind. How do we meet that? We meet that by emotionally accepting this is hard, I'm scared of this change, I'm uncomfortable, processing it, adapting to the new situation, and moving forward. That's only done when you're emotionally intelligent. And my experience, and every study that is out there shows this to be true. When I was going through a bunch of therapy, I was in group therapy with a bunch of men. And I remember before we would start each session, the therapist would make us introduce ourselves and then tell the group how we felt emotionally. And even went so far to give us a paper with a list of emotions that we could select from because we weren't allowed to say, I'm good. We had to say something like, I'm feeling anxious today, or I feel really excited about opportunities that I'm facing right now, or I feel overwhelmed, whatever that may be. You had to identify one emotion at least. It was so hard. I could not understand how hard it was. I actually didn't even have the capacity when they would say, how are you doing, to reflect on my body and sink into the emotional state that I had. It just wasn't even there. I think I'm good. And it amazed me when somebody could like say something that was nuanced without even looking at the sheet. That's where I started. So if you're like me, it's okay. It's normal. You haven't learned. It's just a skill that you got to tune into. So I would drop into that, and over time with practice of looking at my emotional state, thinking, what am I feeling? Am I scared? Am I unhappy? Am I excited? Am I anxious? Am I, feeling grief? Am I terrified? All those things. I would look at it all and try to figure it out. It's become something that is really exciting to do, and I get better and better at it all the time. And I love all the examples that we see because we know that this goes on, right? There's this movie on Prime called Patriot, and it's so funny. It's kind of a dark comedy. And it's this comedy about a guy who is a secret agent for the United States government, and his dad is his handler. And his dad sends him into these situations with really no thought of his son's safety. Just get it done. You have to do it. And his son does these things in the service of his country that horrify him and leave him open to death, and it's terrifying, and it just is ruining his mental stability. And there are points when he's on his mission where, you don't know how he's going to get out of it. You're thinking death is imminent. And his dad will call him, hey, how you doing on the mission? Are things going well? And he'll be on the phone and say, yep, I'm good, I'm fine. As he's literally about to lose his life. That is the nature of how we have been taught to deal with our emotions. Keep going. Don't admit what's going on. Stuff it down and get it done. This is not the most effective way of moving through life. In fact, it is deeply limiting. If you are not in war, if the place you are at is simply a war of business, don't let this consume you. It will limit your capacity to innovate. It will limit your ability to meet the competition and rise above it, because the fear, the emotions, all of the wisdom that is in your body, your emotions are telling you things that can guide you through these situations if you allow yourself to feel and experience them. When you're on the battlefield and you need to kill that person in front of you, you don't have time for that. But in most of our cases in our lives right now, this is not the case. We are facing something that requires us to stay engaged, to stay connected, to stay adaptable and excited and curious. When we are unaware of our emotions and we fail to listen to them, our body will remove itself from an experience of excitement to one of fight, flight, fear, because we're informing our body, these emotions don't have time to be recognized. I'm shutting it down. I'm unable to experience this because I don't have time, I have to act. And that keeps us from living at our best level, getting into the flow state, performing at our highest optimal capacity. So if you want to do that, figure out how to lean into your emotions, experience them, and allow yourself to succeed. And I promise it'll change the way you move in all places of your life. I'm James. This is how I do it. Thanks for joining me.